episode of Solar TV brought to you by all of the amazing people here at Solar Wolf Energy. A video today about what may be coming with the ITC and with the EV tax. So if you've read the reform notes and the tax reform, you know that it's on the table right now, on the chopping block, if you will, for the $7,500 EV tax credit, which is, for some of you who don't know, if you buy an electric car, you're eligible for up to $7,500 for a tax credit for buying it. That is going to get removed. So I think right now you might see a mad dash before that might come into effect in the next month or two before this gets enacted, if it passes, to you know, people are going to try to buy them before this goes away, right? With that said, there's some stipulation. Now, there's some concern over if you buy it this year, will you be able to take it next year if they enact it? There's not real clarity on that. You may have to go to like 7 or 8 different websites to kind of get conflicting answers. So I'd caution you on that. EVs are a great resource. I think it's moving in the right direction personally, but I must caution anyone that might go out and try to buy one right now, may want to talk with your CPA, have them look into it going forward. So that's the EV tax. Something else. Now this is just an opinion here, but we're trying not to get too political here on this channel, but I understand President Trump just spent 12 days over in Europe, over in Asia, my mistake, speaking with quite a few countries about tariffs and trade and things like that. That said, it's interesting to see what's going to come now that the 201 ITC trade case for solar modules and cells, for this tariff that comes out of it. It's interesting to see how this is going to play out. The Federal Trade Committee, the FTC, ruled in favor of Suniva and Solar World, that they were injured and they couldn't, and one of the reasons they went out of business and filed bankruptcy was because of cheap import from China. I have my own opinions about that. I'll leave that out for now. But so with that said, they ruled in favor of that. Now, Solar World and Suniva had asked for, I believe it was a 76 and a 78 cent increase on solar modules per watt. So if it's a 300 watt panel, it's roughly about $230, $240. That's steep. It's basically doubling the price of a panel. That hits hard in places where there aren't financial incentives to put solar, like Texas and Florida and whatnot, places like that. So that makes it a little difficult. Fortunately, the FTC saw that it was roughly between 10 to 15 cents. Not going to make or break, I think, the entire industry. I think it's going to cause some layoffs. I think some solar farm projects that might have happened might get pushed off and tabled for a later date to see what the final decision that comes from the White House. Now, I understand there's two ways to look at this. Trump had earlier in his presidency had said that bring me tariffs, I want tariffs. The other part of this that's juicy and fat is if they go with the recommendation from the Federal Trade Committee, the government's looking to make between $80 to $90 million a year potentially on these tariffs. So sounds like a lot of money, but I think for the federal government, that's pennies. That's really not like an interesting number. The other side to that, the devil's advocate, would be that Trump spent all this time over in China, in Malaysia, in Singapore, in the Philippines, all these places where panels are made. Now, if I'm sure this might have been brought up because, let's be honest, this has been a topic of discussion for months, and it was passed right before he left. I wouldn't be surprised if on his trip over there he was maybe briefing it and kind of going over it. It's a long flight. I mean, it's a possibility. Shot in the dark. You know, we'll find out. But the upside is potentially, if the deals were made, maybe they even discussed this very topic, I hope so, and quite possibly, because he's a jobs president, he wants a lot of people working, he understands that if he enacts this, there's going to be some layoffs. With that said, you have that going with the argument that maybe he won't pass it, along with maybe he had some progress in Asia. So those things considered, it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out. I believe his decision has to be by January 14th or 15th or somewhere in that neighborhood. We're going to find out for sure. Stay tuned until then. We'll have some more for you on that particular thing after that. So we look forward to discussing that with you guys. And thanks for watching another episode of Solar TV.